In this video, I'm going to show you how to use Prettier in combination with VS Code. Prettier is an auto formatter for the following types of code. You can auto format JavaScript, HTML, CSS, GraphQL, Markdown, YAML, JSON, and much more using Prettier. All of the code that you will see is in a public Git repository if you want to follow along, but I suggest you just sit back, relax, focus, and enjoy. For step one, this is what we are going to do. We are simply going to create a folder called example code, and in this example code folder, we are going to place a number of different types of files: a CSS file, a JavaScript file, a TypeScript file, and a TSX file for the React developers who are watching. For step two, this is what we are going to do. We are going to install the Prettier extension or plugin into our VS Code. You can install VS Code extensions via the GUI or the CLI. If you want to use the graphical user interface, you can come over here to the extensions tab within VS Code, and you can search the extensions marketplace for an extension that matches the term Prettier. And if you don't have it installed already, you'll see an install button on the result. You can press that button to install the Prettier extension into your VS Code in one click. It's that simple. If you're a fan of the command line, you can copy this command right here, paste it into your terminal, execute it, and the extension will be installed just the same. You can see here that I already have it installed. Now that we have the Prettier extension, we now need to integrate it with our project, and we do it like this. At the root of our project, we will specify a special folder called .vscode. In this folder, we will specify a special file called settings.json with the following contents. Here, we are specifying that we would like all TypeScript files, aka any file that ends with .ts, to be automatically formatted by Prettier. We would like any JavaScript file, aka any file that ends with .js, to be automatically formatted by Prettier. I hope you see the pattern. Finally, we are going to add this configuration parameter that says that we would like to automatically format all of the above file types anytime we save the files. Now that we have that all set up, let's test this out. In step one, we created this example code folder with all of these dummy file types. Let's add some formatting errors into these files. And I click save, and you see Prettier doing its magic. Right? If we test it out on JavaScript files, it works. TypeScript files, it works. .tsx files, it works. Prettier is set up to look for certain configuration files in our project, and we can use these configuration files to change the way that Prettier will auto format our code. One of these configuration files is the .prettierrc.js file. We can use this file to override the default way that Prettier will auto format certain files in our project. For example, let's say that we want our CSS files to now, instead of having a tab width of 4, have a tab width of 8. We can save this, and now let's test this in our dummy file. Look what happens when we click save. We now have a tab width of 8 spaces. Or let's say that, for example, we want each instruction in our JavaScript files to be terminated by a semicolon. We can change this from false to true, click save, and now let's test this out in our dummy file. Look what happens when we click save. All of our instructions are now terminated by semicolons. The configurability of Prettier is pretty limited, but it is possible. If you want more advanced auto formatting or manipulation of your code, you're gonna have to use other tools. But anyways, the point of this video was to cover Prettier. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want the full spec of how you can configure Prettier, you can come over to the docs and check it out for yourself. Peace.